Hello, friends. If you're a manager or leader planning to roll out GenAI in your organization but don't know where to start, this session is for you. Perfect podcast for the gym, cycling, walking, or driving. Enjoy.
So I was actually just having coffee with a CIO friend of mine yesterday, and the guy looked like he hadn't slept in a week.
Oh, no. Let me guess, the whole AI mandate thing.
Exactly. He was just sitting there staring at his mug, completely overwhelmed. Because his board is basically demanding, a full generative AI and agentic AI stack across the whole company, like yesterday.
Right, of course they are.
And he is just terrified of the whole system blowing up in his face. Like, how do you actually implement that strategy without breaking the company?
Yeah, that is pretty much the defining corporate stress of this year, honestly. Leadership gets so blinded by the hype, and let's face it, the hype always travels way faster than the reality.
Oh, 100%.
So we end up seeing these massive knee-jerk panic reactions. Executives just want to put out a press release saying, hey, we're doing AI, but they have literally zero operational logic behind it.
Which is just begging for a disaster. But, well, for my friend, and really for you listening right now, if you're stuck in that exact same pressure cooker, we actually have a bit of a life raft today. Because it turns out the syllabus for the Google Gen AI for Leader certification addresses this exact challenge. I was looking through it, and it's basically the foundational playbook for doing this right.
Yeah, and that is really our mission for this deep dive. We are stripping away all the crazy buzzwords. We want to give you a very practical, very level-headed guide to achieving actual measurable business success.
Right. No magic wands here.
Exactly. No blind hype, just rigorous business strategy broken down into 5 concrete steps for a thoughtful implementation.
Okay, so let's just get straight into it. Step 1, phase 1, is really just figuring out where to even start. And looking at the sources, it seems like the biggest trap is what they call trying to boil the ocean.
Right? Absolutely. The classic trap.
Like a company decides they're an AI-first organization now, so they go out, they buy a massive mountain of GPUs, and they try to transform every single department on day one.
Which is, frankly, just a brilliant way to burn through your entire annual IT budget in about a month.
Right, and get zero return.
Exactly, zero. You just can't do that. You need a highly targeted starting line. The framework Google actually recommends is surprisingly rigorous. You essentially sit down, map out your actual business pain points, and then you score them ruthlessly.
Score them how? Exactly.
On 2 metrics, impact and feasibility.
Okay, let's define those in real terms, though. Because, impact is one of those words that can mean pretty much anything to a CEO.
Fair point. Yeah, impact does not mean, oh, this looks super cool in a demo. It means identifying strict, measurable KPIs. So are we talking about top-line revenue growth, or are we talking bottom-line operational cost savings?
Got it. And what about feasibility?
Feasibility is where you have to ask the really hard, unsexy questions. Like, do we actually have the clean data ready to feed this model?
Which most people don't.
Right. And also, is this a low-risk project? Because the golden rule here for your very first use case is always, always high value, low risk.
It kind of makes me think of like hiring a brilliant multilingual intern on their very first day and just immediately putting them in charge of negotiating your biggest international merger.
That is a perfect analogy.
Like, they might have the raw brain power, but they have zero context for your specific business. You have to start them out organizing files or summarizing meeting notes first.
Exactly. You do not start by handing over your entire global supply chain to an autonomous AI agent. Think about it. That is a massive operational risk.
Oh, yeah. If the AI hallucinates a logistics route, your entire global shipping just grinds to a halt.
Exactly. It's terrifying. Yeah. So instead, you look for these high-volume, highly repetitive friction points. Look at LUXGN, for example.
They're the Taiwanese EV manufacturer, right?
Yep. They didn't try to reinvent their actual vehicle manufacturing floor with AI on day one.
So where did they point it?
They looked at their Line messaging app. It's their official customer service channel. And it was just completely flooded with really routine queries, people asking about vehicle maintenance, battery range, that sort of thing.
Just the repetitive stuff.
Right. That was the friction point. So they deployed a Vertex AI agent specifically to answer just those questions. The agent hooks into their existing verified technical manuals. It parses the user's natural language question, and it gives the exact answer.
Wow. And what was the actual business impact of that? Because it sounds simple.
It is simple, but it cut their human agent workload by 30%.
30%? That's huge.
High impact, low risk. If the bot doesn't know the answer, it just immediately hands it off to a human. The downside is basically zero.
That makes a ton of sense. Or look at Mercado Libre from the sources. They rolled out AI search to help customers navigate this massive catalog of, I think, 150 million items.
Yes, and that is another brilliant low-risk, high-reward deployment because the core pain point there was product discovery. Traditional keyword search is incredibly rigid. If you misspell a word or if you use a slightly different synonym, you just get zero results. But by implementing an AI-driven semantic search, the system actually understands the intent behind what you're typing.
Actually, wait, let's break that down for a second. How does that work mechanically? Like semantic search versus keyword search?
Sure. So keyword search just looks for exact text matches. If you type in, say, lightweight summer wedding outfit beach.
Catchy.
Right. Very specific. A keyword search literally scans for a product that has that exact absurd string of words in its title. But semantic search uses generative AI to understand the meaning.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it realizes, okay, this person is looking for breathable fabrics, maybe pastel colors, formal but casual, and it surfaces linen suits or sundresses. It connects the concept to the products.
And again, the risk profile there is so incredibly low. Like if it occasionally surfaces a slightly irrelevant shirt, whatever, the user just scrolls past it. But the value of helping hundreds of millions of people find exactly what they want, that's astronomical.
Precisely. It's a massive win.
Okay, so let's say I take this advice. I build a really simple, high-impact inventory bot. My engineers test it. They come into my office and they're like, boss, it works perfectly in the lab. Am I ready to just unleash this on my 10,000 global employees tomorrow morning?
I mean, if you want to invite a total PR and financial meltdown, sure, go for it.
Yeah, maybe not.
If you want to keep your job, you absolutely do not roll it out globally yet. Which brings us right into phase 2. The show me the money phase.
Yeah.
You have to pilot, measure, and scale only if the numbers make undeniable sense.
Because that fear of your systems just completely crashing down around you under a sudden massive load, that is a very real fear.
Oh, it's the ultimate nightmare scenario for any CIO. If you deploy this great idea company-wide without a rigorous pilot, you're just begging for bugs, latency issues, a terrible user experience, and a complete system bottleneck.
Yeah, no one wants that.
You have to prove its worth in a controlled environment first.
But, okay, when we talk about proving its worth, I look at these Google Vertex dashboards and I see all these technical metrics. Things like tokens per query or millisecond latency. I gotta be honest, if I walk into a boardroom full of executives and say, great news, we optimized our tokens, they are going to stare at me like I'm speaking an alien language.
They have every right to, because tech metrics like tokens are just noise to a business leader unless they are directly tied to the balance sheet.
Actually, let's pause right there for the listener. What exactly is a token in this context? Because people hear that word a lot.
Good call. Think of a token as the basic unit of computing cost for an AI model. It's roughly equivalent to a syllable of a word.
Okay.
So when you ask an AI a question and it generates an answer, it consumes tokens.
Yeah.
It's essentially like gallons of gas for a car.
Oh.
Engineers obsess over optimizing tokens because it saves on cloud computing costs.
Right, that makes total sense. But the board doesn't care about the miles per gallon. They care about the total cost of the road trip.
Exactly. Leaders need to translate those technical metrics into actual business realities. You don't say you optimized tokens. You say, we deployed this pilot to 50 customer service reps. We cut their average resolution time by 30%, and projecting that across the department, it's going to save us $200,000 this quarter.
Now you're speaking boardroom language.
Exactly. Look at how Mercedes-Benz handled this. They developed this incredibly sophisticated in-car virtual assistant. But they didn't just push a software update to every single vehicle on the highway overnight.
That would be terrifying.
Right. They piloted it in a very controlled rollout. They tracked the usage, they measured the tangible value it provided to the driving experience, and they proved an estimated ROI of $1.9 million in just the very first year.
Wow.
And only after they proved that hard dollar value did they expand it across other vehicle models.
And General Mills took a pretty similar approach internally, didn't they?
They did. They piloted secure AI access for just a small subset of their employees to help with like daily administrative tasks and data analysis.
Mm-hmm.
They measured the actual time saved per employee. They mapped that time against employee hourly rates to calculate the productivity gains, and they measured over $100 million in value before they ever considered scaling it company-wide.
100 million? That's insane.
You just never make an all-in bet until the pilot numbers prove it.
Okay, so let's retrace our steps here. Our pilot is crushing it. We have the hard data, it's saving time, it's generating ROI. We get the green light from the board to scale. But the second you scale a system and connect it to your core enterprise databases, it suddenly becomes this giant flashing target.
Oh, yes, it does.
Which brings us to phase 3, security and compliance. How do we keep the hackers at bay? Because the fear of proprietary corporate data, or worse, customer data leaking to the open web, that is literally what keeps CEOs up at night.
Absolutely. Now, when you use an enterprise platform like Vertex AI, Google provides 3 massive security locks. And as a leader, you don't need to know how to code them, but you absolutely must understand what they are conceptually. The first one is VPC, or Virtual Private Cloud.
Okay, so I actually like to think of VPC like a gated community, or maybe a totally private corporate highway. Like if I'm querying the AI with sensitive financial data, that data never actually touches the public internet where the hackers are hanging out.
Exactly.
It travels on this secure, isolated road directly between our private databases and the AI model.
That is spot on. It completely isolates your network traffic. The second lock is CMEK, which stands for Customer Managed Encryption Key.
Okay, what does that mean in plain English?
Normally, a cloud provider encrypts your data on their servers, and they manage the key for you. But with CMEK, you hold the master key, not Google, you.
Wait, I'm a little confused there. If I hold the encryption key and Google doesn't have it, how does Google's Vertex AI actually process my data? Doesn't the AI need to, see the data to analyze it and give me an answer?
That is the genius of confidential computing. So your data is encrypted at rest, and it's encrypted while it travels on that private highway.
Yeah.
When it finally reaches the AI servers, it is decrypted purely in RAM, within a highly secure, completely isolated hardware enclave.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It exists in a readable state just long enough for the AI model to process the prompt, and then the memory is instantly wiped. Google's overarching systems, and more importantly, their human employees, never have any access to the underlying key.
Okay, here is where it gets really interesting, though. What if law enforcement or some government agency comes to Google with a subpoena and demands access to a specific company's cloud data?
This is the best part. With CMEK, Google's legal department literally has to say, sorry, we mathematically cannot open this data. We do not possess the key. You have to go serve that subpoena to the customer directly.
That is massive for a company's peace of mind, especially in, highly regulated industries.
Absolutely. And the third piece of this security puzzle is SAIF, the Secure AI Framework. Now, this isn't a software tool you just toggle on. It's a comprehensive safety manual.
Like a methodology.
Exactly. It's Google's methodology that dictates you must design your AI to be safe from day one. Yeah. You audit every access log, you run automated tests for data leaks before you ever launch, and you continuously verify the system boundaries.
So to summarize the whole security stack, you have the private highway, you have your own personal cryptographic padlock, and you have the rigorous safety inspection manual.
And the stakes for getting this right are incredibly high. The sources actually highlight the Mayo Clinic for this. They are using Vertex AI to process clinical data. We are talking about 50 petabytes of data here.
50 petabytes, that's unbelievable.
And they are doing it strictly under HIPAA controls, ensuring patient health information never ever leaves those compliant boundaries. Or look at Banco Macro in Argentina.
Right, the banking regulations there are super strict.
Exactly. They deploy conversational AI while adhering to incredibly strict Argentinian banking regulations regarding data residency. They utilized VPC and CMEK to make sure absolutely everything was locked down tight and legally compliant.
Okay, so we've locked the data down from the outside hackers. But phase 4 is where we have to look inward. Guardrails and responsible AI. Because what happens if the AI itself starts behaving badly from the inside?
Yes.
Like the fear of an AI just going completely rogue is very real. We're talking about hallucinations, systemic bias, toxic outputs.
And this is exactly where catastrophic reputational damage happens. If you skip implementing responsible AI guardrails, you're essentially just inviting a massive lawsuit or a viral PR scandal.
But it's not just about hoping the AI behaves. There are very specific technical fixes you have to implement.
Okay, walk me through those fixes. How do you physically stop a model from, say, hallucinating?
One of the primary controls is adjusting the temperature of the model.
Temperature.
Yeah, so large language models essentially work by predicting the next most likely word in a sequence. If you set the model's temperature high, say close to 1.2, you are allowing it to take risks and choose lower probability words.
Which makes it more creative. Exactly. That makes the AI highly creative, which is fantastic if you're writing marketing copy or brainstorming ideas.
But terrible for a factual business bot.
Horrible.
Ah.
If you want strictly factual replies, say for a banking bot that's checking account balances, you set a very low temperature, like 0.1 or 0.2.
So it doesn't get creative with my money.
Exactly. That forces the AI to be highly deterministic. It stops getting creative and simply gives you the absolute highest probability factual answer. You also have to continuously monitor for what we call drift, just to see if the AI's answers are slowly degrading or changing over time based on new data.
Man, just imagine rolling out a generative AI shopping assistant for some major retail brand, and because it was fed biased training data, it decides to recommend power tools exclusively to male profiles and dresses exclusively to female profiles.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, it is a PR nightmare just waiting to happen. You'd be trending on social media for all the wrong reasons by lunchtime, and the board would be demanding heads.
You absolutely would. And that is exactly why you utilize automated safety filters to block toxic or biased language, and why you aggressively test the model for fairness with really diverse adversarial queries before you ever go live.
You try to break it before the public does.
Exactly.
Right.
But even with all those technical settings perfectly tuned, the single most important guardrail of all is the human-in-the-loop rule.
Expand on that a bit. What does that mean practically?
If an AI is making a high-stakes decision, like giving medical advice, or approving a mortgage, or screening a resume, it simply cannot act alone. You set a confidence threshold within the system.
Okay.
So if the AI is less than, say, 85% confident in its generated answer, it pauses the action and immediately routes that query to a human employee to review and approve.
Which brings up Gleamer. That's a fascinating example from the sources. They use MedGemini for automated radiology reports across 45 different countries. And obviously, they're dealing with actual medical diagnoses. Lives are on the line. So they ensure clinical safety by hardwiring human review right into the process. The AI does all the heavy lifting, scanning the imagery, drafting the initial report, but the human doctor makes the final authoritative call.
Exactly. And Elanco, which is a global animal health company, tackles this through a technique called grounding.
Grounding.
Yeah. They use AI agents to handle pharmacovigilance, which is the monitoring of drug safety and adverse reactions. Now, to entirely prevent hallucinations in a process where biological safety is critical, they ground the AI.
Meaning the AI isn't allowed to just search the open internet for answers, right?
Right. Grounding forces the AI model to only draw its answers from a specific, tightly controlled database of approved medical documents. It completely anchors the AI to reality.
Okay, so let's review where we are in this journey. We've picked a highly feasible, impactful use case. We didn't boil the ocean. We've run a controlled pilot and proved the hard ROI so our systems don't crash. We've locked the system down from hackers using private clouds and encryption, and we've put temperature controls and grounding guardrails on it so it doesn't go rogue and embarrass us. We have built the perfect, profitable, secure, well-behaved AI, but, and this is a big but, none of that matters, literally none of it, if we fail at the fifth and final phase, change management.
Oh, this is the big one.
Because if your own employees are terrified of the system, they will actively sabotage it.
This is that massive looming fear of job loss.
Yeah.
And we have to be clear, change management isn't a technology problem. It is pure human psychology.
Yeah, people despise surprises.
Especially when those surprises involve automation. If you just drop a brand new AI agent onto the sales team's workflow on a Tuesday morning without any warning, no training, no buy-in, it will fail spectacularly.
Oh, I can just imagine the quiet mutiny. People intentionally feeding the bot bad data or just straight up refusing to log in because they honestly believe they are training their own replacements. How do you practically get someone to embrace the technology that they are actively afraid is coming for their livelihood?
First of all, communication from leadership has to correct that exact phrasing from day one. It is never framed as a replacement. You have to position the AI as a new teammate.
A teammate, okay.
You are giving your employees a tireless assistant to handle the soul-crushing repetitive data entry so they can elevate their role to do the high-value strategic work that only humans can do. You literally named the bot something friendly.
Really? Like what?
Yeah. You roll it out and say, "Hi, team. I want to introduce Alex, your new digital backup. Alex is going to handle pulling all the inventory reports every single morning so you can spend your time actually consulting with our top-tier clients."
Oh, that is clever. You personify it so it feels collaborative. You're giving them an intern, not a successor.
Right. But it obviously takes more than just a friendly name. You have to hold town halls months before it launches. You train people in phases. You let the shift managers test it out first, and you actually encourage them to try and break the bot or outsmart it, make it a game.
Exactly. That builds deep trust in its capabilities while also showing them its real limitations. And most importantly, you gamify and reward the usage. Hey, whichever regional store hits 90% automation on routine customer queries this week gets a catered lunch. You incentivize them to actively want the AI to succeed.
That reminds me of the example of Toyota from the sources here, because changing human behavior is arguably harder than writing the code itself.
Definitely.
But Toyota actually went to their factory workers, the non-technical staff, right on the manufacturing floor, and they trained them to build their own machine learning models using Vertex AI.
That is the real power of low-code and no-code interfaces. Toyota didn't force these domain experts to sit down and learn Python.
Thank goodness.
Right. They gave them intuitive drag-and-drop AI tools. So a factory worker could upload a simple spreadsheet of defect data, and the system would literally guide them through creating a predictive maintenance model.
That's amazing. They took workers who might have been incredibly fearful of automation, gave them the keys to the technology, and turned them into proactive AI champions. They owned the solution because they actually built it.
And then there's Singtel, the telecom operator in Singapore. They took this massive structured approach. They didn't just casually drop AI software onto their staff's laptops. They launched an entire AI acceleration academy to comprehensively train over 10,000 employees.
Wow.
They aggressively invested in upskilling, bringing their people along for the ride rather than just leaving them behind.
Which is so crucial because an AI strategy is really only as strong as the human workforce wielding it.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? It means that successful generative AI implementation isn't magic. It's not science fiction, and it definitely shouldn't be driven by panic.
Not at all.
It is just treating AI like any other major critical business infrastructure project. You don't rush it. You find the right starting line. You pilot for undeniable ROI. You lock down the security architecture. You build ethical, factual guardrails. And above all, you manage the psychology of your people.
It is entirely about being methodical.
Mm-hmm.
But, if we connect this thoughtful approach to the broader long-term picture, it does raise one really important lingering question.
Yeah. What's that?
Well, if we do all of this perfectly, if we successfully implement agentic AI to flawlessly handle all of our repetitive, low-level tasks, basic customer queries, and entry-level coding across every major industry, how will the human workforce of tomorrow actually learn the foundational skills of their professions?
Oh, wow.
Right? If those entry-level tasks just no longer exist for junior employees to practice on, how do we ever develop the senior experts we need to oversee the AI?
That is a fascinating, almost existential problem. Like, you fix the friction of the present, but you might just completely disrupt the talent pipeline of the future.
Exactly.
Well, that definitely makes you wonder exactly what my CIO friend is going to be stressing over 10 years from now. I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Until then, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. See you next time.